kiln unloading with all of the kiwi underglazes tests and a bunch of other things too. So I have quite a few different things in the next 3 or 4 kiln unloadings, so I'll put them all in one video so you can see the whole lot together. There are the kiwi underglazes and a bunch of lids, which I'll show you when the jar comes out, which I think is underneath. And remember, I fire my lids on stilts so that I can glaze the rim of the piece, although there I didn't even bother. These are actually urns for cremation, and fortunately I sold 4 of those in the last few, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, I guess. So it's something I do, but I don't advertise, obvious reasons. So people just have to make an inquiry, and I actually use them on the outside of the studio during the season to decorate this, my ramp basically. Oops, I think I just turned my kiln on. Yeah, leaning against the touchpad. So these are all going to be on top of urns. There you go. So a nice bunch of lids. I hope the jar's just as good. This is Randy's red, which has a little reddishness to it, so hopefully the rest of the pieces will too. And it's breaking to black, which is kind of nice. I've done the Randy's red under my usual firing cycle now, so it's not as red as it used to be, but I don't have to do special firings with it unless I really want to get everything really red. But it runs a bit when you do that. And then I got one of the big Icelandic bowls at night time, and I think you've seen these before. And the outside is glazed similarly. There you go. I wonder if this will be popular this year because it's dark. One large tankard in apple green with chun green dipped over the top and a bit of oatmeal. That's nice. Green is a nice peaceful color. And then obviously I'm not going to show you all these one by one, so do I see anything that doesn't look like it worked? I don't think so. I'm looking for purples because purples are hard to get because the glazes sometimes dissolve them, but we have 2 different purples here that both worked, and they're purple. So, and this is my cone 6 clear glaze, and it looks like it's doing pretty good. I mixed my cone 4 and my cone 6 clear glaze together to get a glaze which I was hoping to go to cone 6 as well, because the cone 6 glaze was out of a book and it's not clear, it's cloudy a bit, and my cone 4 clear glaze is really clear, and so I mixed the 2 together and I think it worked for a cone 6. So hopefully that's going to work for everything. Okay, so it looks to me like I got my Randy's red usual effect that I can see, but I bet it's brown on the other side. So let's get this one out here, which looks very red on the bit facing me, away from the elements. And look at that. Looks great. And it's not bad on the other side either. Okay, it looks like this was a really good firing. Because this is my usual schedule for every glaze, but I've always fired Randy's red separately. And in this case, we've got some nice, I did oatmeal on the bottom and where it made it overlap the Randy's red. And so we've got some change effect down there, which is actually quite nice too. But here you go, one of these lids fits here. That could be that one because it works, but it could be the other one too. And that's the jar. I'll have to photograph these at the end so you can see them better. But these are a bunch of urns I've done. I should have 8 or 9 of these. And then the other one, let's see if it did the same over here. It changes so much. Look, it's a bit brown on that side, but it's very pretty. So, and I did the apple green on the bottom of this one. Let's see if the lid fits. Yeah, I've got the lids right then. So we've got another one there. So these are pretty tall, but sadly their use is not ideal, of course. And some people may buy these as decorative pieces too, because they work as a vase without the lid, or just as a decorative piece. So this one looks nice. I did a little extra stuff on this one. I did some dots of my green all the way around, and it looks like it ran down a little bit. Oh no, I remember, I sponged very watered glaze down this is folk art white with a little bit of sponging. And then I've got the Tenmaku Gold on the bottom, and they overlap, of course, there. But let's see which lid. I've got two lids it could be. I think it could be this one. There you go. Hard to see because they're so big. And this is folk art white again. And this lid's probably the one for that. Yes, it is. I don't want to drop the lid in the kiln. Apple green on the bottom. Folk art white with a little bit of sponging, watered down glaze to give a little greenish hint to the folk art white. And also on the lid. So that it actually doesn't have as much yellow iron ochre in it. Barely any, actually. This one is apple green, licorice, and my oatmeal over the top. And there you go. It's nice that nothing's stuck to the kiln shelf. Tenmaku Gold. What did I do there? I think it was Tenmaku Gold up to there, and then I did bright blue down to there, so we have an overlapping area in the middle, which is pretty. It's an unexpected color. And there's another one. That's pretty. Oatmeal on the top. But the Tenmaku Gold has got some nice flecks. And all of these pieces have holes drilled in the bottom, 3 of them. Not into the interior cavity, but just through the thickness of the bottom foot. And then people can screw them down, since they're meant as urns. We wouldn't want this to be knocked over. The last one is pure Tenmaku Gold, if I remember. This was a great firing. Look at that one. The Tenmaku Gold is absolute perfect. Gold flecks. There we go. The rest of this kiln, the rest of the glaze tests for the kiwi underglazes are in my small kiln. It's going to be unloaded in the morning tomorrow. This is Chun Green. This is one of my Cove series. This is like bright blue, the yellow. I think I showed you glazing these in a video just. And then apple green, variegated blue, mouse grey, oatmeal, and then bright blue on the outside as well. And here's a little tray. I think I just videotaped making these too. That turned out really nice. Okay, this is my tiny little kiln, which is about a 3 cubic feet or 3.5, 4, whatever. And let's see this way around. Yes. Here's another one of my trays. So I'm painting glaze into these with paint brushes to give the you know, sort of pictorial effect, and then dipping the edges into the glazes. And it's I did have a video on making these trays, so you can see how I did it as well. We're using the roller stamp. There's 3 more little tests. You'll be seeing all of these on a board with the underglazes. I'm doing that video right as we speak. I just stayed up till 11 o'clock last night painting a piece. It was a really elaborate one. And those kiwi underglazes are beautiful. Lids to jaws underneath. Here's that bronze glaze everybody always asks for, and I always forget to put it in the recipe things. But it's in Cone 6 Glaze book. Not Mastering Cone 6 Glaze, is the other Cone 6 Glaze book. Too, because it's definitely looking quite thick, and that's it too. So you can see Tenmaku Gold on the bottom with the bronze glaze on top. Every lid has fit so far, and so does this one. So these are the urns. Not a happy thing to sell. It's always a sort of sad occasion, but people are looking for those this spring, it seems. We had to buy one ourselves, and they are so expensive if you go to a funeral home. And I charge $150 for these, which is probably a quarter of what you pay in a funeral home. There we can see it better if I pull back. The last one on the bottom, I just took all the little glaze tests out, so it wasn't worth you watching those come out of the kiln. But this is one of the Icelandic sort of flow pieces, I call them. It's like the sea with the mountains in the background at night. So in this one, I think I remember putting big bowls and tankards, and I tried my best to not get the Tenmoku gold to run off the handles, but we'll see how it worked out. Here's one of the Cove series bowls. This is a tall bowl. I don't usually do them so tall because it's hard to pour the glaze accurately when you're doing one of these. I think the light's a little dull. I better turn my light on. That might be better. So we've got oatmeal, mouse grey, variegated blue, and apple green. No Tenmoku gold in this one, and then bright blue on the bottom, so it's a slight variation on it. I was trying to see whether it would look brighter, but I think I like it better with the Tenmoku gold. And then the outside is just bright blue, and there's the chattering effect from artisanpotterytools.com. That's Bill Wright who makes those tools, which I use just about every day in the studio. And there's another plain bowl with bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. And on the outside we have, I think that was, I don't think it was mouse green, but sorry, apple green. I think it was chun green I did on the outside there. But there's another nice bowl. I think I'm overloaded with bright blue this year. Now let's cross fingers and lift it up and see if the run came off the handle. No, it didn't. I was dipping these, specifically trying to avoid the runs that I get down the handle from the glaze variegated blue and oatmeal over the top of Tenmoku gold. And you can see the oatmeal running all the way down. I only dipped the top inch on these. And look how much it ran down. But it really looks good when it runs. It's just that you've got to be very careful about the timing and the thickness of the glaze. But you got some nice blue effect in those ones. I should have 3 or 4 of them. Let's see if it did it. This one looks a lot lower down. Oh no, it ran. See? It's so fluid when you put those 3 glazes. And I can grind that off. It's just under the handle. The rest of it was fine. It seems like the handle acts as a channel, like a riverbed, flowing the glaze down. But I'll have to grind that one a little bit. And what about the third one here? That one worked. So, okay, I'm getting better at it. But we've got some nice blue showing up, which I always like to get, and the oatmeal is running down. But when you think I only glazed the top inch to the, the actual double rim area, and it runs that much, that's a lot of running. And then we have some of the Icelandic types pieces, and there's a really nice evidence of chrome tin pink in there. That's from chrome oxide in the actual glaze, which is the purple, which isn't even in this piece, but it has fumes in the kiln from it that affect the pieces. I use venter kilns, it's the hood over the kiln that I use as a vent. So the fumes still come out of build up in the kiln, and as they come out, they get sucked out through the kiln hood. But in the new kilns at the new studio, I have the EnviroVent, or Ventikiln, Orton kiln vent anyway, which sucks the air right out of the kiln. So I may not get the chrome tin pink effect in the new kilns. So that's just the regular Landscape Cove series, which is apple green, bright blue, and oatmeal. Yeah, the fumes, you can really, got strong evidence there of what fumes come off your glazes in the kiln when you see chrome is on. There must be a purple piece in this kiln somewhere, that's what it is. A bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. The only glazes that have chrome in it are the purple and the cranberry red. So, oh, the cranberry red was in that bright blue bowl I took out. There was a little slip trailing there with the cranberry. So just that little bit of it. cause the Croton pink. But look at the apple green with the chun green and oatmeal. That's really a pretty green. Okay, I have some nice trays here. I just released the video today on glazing the trays and the fish. So this is Sunday the 6th of April. Almost a full week of April gone by. And we're getting snow tomorrow. It looks like significant snow too. But in this piece we have bright blue, variegated blue, and apple green with a bit of oatmeal over the edges. And you can see the whales from the roller stamps. And here's another one where the whales were done with, I think it was mouse grey. Did I do mouse grey? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were done with mouse grey. And then I dipped the chun green and the blue green copper red over the seascape, well, the water areas. And so the mouse grey has gone a much nicer grey color actually with those two glazes, which is interesting. And the edges were dipped with variegated blue and bright blue, and then oatmeal over the handles. But that's the roller stamps again, so. And the handles on these were done with Bill Wright's handle tools as well. So that website is www.artisanpotterytools.com. Very nice. This one looks like a winter scene because everything's white on the kind of land area. And then you've got this really cool watercolor, which is the chun green actually. And then the whales are mouse gray again. But that glaze really shows the whales up really nicely. The blue one sort of made them more subtle. But this one's a nice tray. That's all from one roller stamp that made that entire scene. Very nice. We have another. There's the bright blue, which hides the whales a little bit, even though they were done in the mouse grey. The blue obviously overpowers it quite a bit, but that's probably more realistic of what it would be. And the splashing, the breaching whale looks good. And then we got the variegated blue, bright blue with oatmeal all over the rim. Okay, here's another tray. In this one, we did a double handle, and then we've got blue green, copper red, chun green, apple green, and bright blue in the squares in the center. So that's a very elaborately glazed piece, but only the bright blue doesn't show the whales very well, so I probably wouldn't do that in another piece because it doesn't quite match, I think. But it's just a nice piece to show the different glazes that affect the transparency of those roller stamps. Okay, the next layer down, I have what I call a pasta jar to store spaghetti or different types of pasta in. And then I have the lid that was in the other layer above. So that's a nice jar with bright blue, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Nice example of the crystals forming in the upper layer there. I have a couple more of the Cove bowls. It's very hard to pour on a deep bowl, and this is a pretty deep bowl, but the same as the bowl earlier in the video. And here's another one, slightly shallower bowl, but the same colors, except for I added some of the sand color in this one. Actually, I think I did in the last one too. But to kind of represent the beach. And then we got some more tankards, but I think I showed these earlier in the video, so I won't go into them too much. Another one here. And the last two are the bright blue ones, which is the standard that I do. So that's the last of this firing. Good morning, but I bet this is in the middle of a video somewhere. So it's Westcote Bell Pottery in Nova Scotia again. .ca. But anyway, I got this may be, if I'm thinking right, this may be number 4 kiln opening in this video. But I always do firings in cycles, bisque firings for a week or two, and then glaze firings for a whole week. So so this actually is a different tripod, but I think this works pretty well, although it won't see down in the bottom of the kiln. But I'm still bringing out those trays that I made a whole bunch of because I enjoyed making them. And this is basically blue green, copper red, and this is chun green. They're very similar. They're kind of light greens in color with bright blue and variegated blue and oatmeal on the outer edges. Let's give you a close look there. That's the roller stamps. I tell you, it's a really nice thing to make for doing theme pieces. There you go. And there's another one. That's the same color glazes actually. And that's the same color glazes just on a regular piece. So here's my Tenmaku Gold with all of its crystal iron yellow format. Oh, and nice on the outside too. This is over the speckled clay, so it's never quite as bright as when it's over the white clay, but it doesn't run as much over the speckled clay, so we don't have to worry about glaze drips off the end of handles. Bright blue, variegated blue and oatmeal again over speckled clay, and it's always very pretty. It has a greenish tint when I put it over this clay or even over the deep iron red clay that I sometimes use. Wow, that's nice. Who knows what's going to happen this season? Everything's up in the air, I'm sure you all know that. It's looking, oh wow, this one's really pretty. It's clay, what is that? That's the speckled clay too, but look how beautiful that turned out down there. And these are all for the LaHaye Bakery. Gail, who owns the bakery, is optimistic. She says it's going to be a great season. I think I need to be optimistic too. It seems like everybody's going to be doing staycations in Canada this year. We've heard from a lot of people that they're not going to travel abroad. Things are too precarious, I guess. So I have a lot of these, so I won't tire you by showing all of them. I'll go quickly because they all have LaHaye Bakery written on the bottom, and they're all in my traditional colors. But they all turn out really nice. These are from recycled clay, that's right. So this is where I mix my white clay and my speckled clay together. And even some B-mix will get in here, and even a little bit of earthenware occasionally. Not much of that though. But when I recycle clay, I put it all together and basically let it all hang out. Okay, I'll bring out the big piece because we got loads of mugs still. This is a very large bowl in the Icelandic nighttime series where I pour the glazes across the bowl. More chattering on the bottom down there. And you can see the close-up inside. It's supposed to represent the ice flow into the ocean on the coastline with the mountains in the background. So that's why I call it my Icelandic series, but this one's nighttime and I also do the daytime version of it. Now, a bunch more mugs, so I think, because these are all, there's the Tenmaku Gold running a little bit, all the way down there, but it didn't get to the bottom. But these are turning out beautiful in this firing. I'm almost tempted to ask the clay company to mix me a batch of clay, which is half and half. Oops, still fell off on the way up. This is the daytime version of my Landscape Cove series. And here's some more of the dark ones here. But all these mugs, she ordered 45 of the Le Hay Bakery mugs, so I got a lot of these in here. But occasionally there'll be a different one. There's a big tankard in the landscape series. And the rest are pretty much the same, except for, I will, oh, I just must have caught myself with a still. This is the landscape, sorry, the Tenmoku Gold in its absolute 100% success, because it's a beautiful gold color when it works perfectly. I got apple green on the bottom of these ones. It was just so that the letters show up a little on the bottom there. The rest of the dark nighttime ones, I'll skip over these. There's another half dozen mugs down there, but they're all very similar like this. And on the bottom of this kiln, it's another big bowl surrounded by Le Hay Bakery mugs. So here's another one of the large bowls. Same again, chattering on the bottom to give a texture. And then the Cove series this time. So just a regular landscape, sort of a bleak Newfoundland, you know, sort of landscape. I've often, and I still have to talk about this, I'm going to make some foam stamps that look a bit like pine trees to actually stamp into these pieces. So and make a deep green to do that. So I will be doing that. I promise myself I'll do that. As in the other style that I sometimes do, these are really pretty mugs. They're more elegant, I think. The usual style is, this has been my mug for decades, which it's perfect. It's a ship's tankard sort of hybrid. Ship's mug tankard, basically. So it's stable, feels comfortable, balance in the hand and everything. But this mug is just elegant. So that's why I occasionally make these as well. I even have a thinner one than this that I do sometimes that people ask me to keep making, but it's just very easy to knock it over. But this mug is just stable, and that's the usual. So these are all the same down the bottom there. There's lots more of these. It will be a quick one. Another one of the bright blue, variegated blue and oatmeal bowls on the white clay. So everything looks so much brighter on the white clay. I have another kiln reaching, actually it's cooling down at the moment, so what the clicking noise is, if you can hear it. Tenmoku Gold, oatmeal and variegated blue on speckled clay. So the Tenmoku Gold isn't quite as nice on the speckled clay. You get a little bit of flex in it, but not a lot. They're in series, so this is folk art white with my apple green on the top. This is the yellow, bright yellow, with a little apple green on the bottom where the letters off the bakery. And the only other color in here is the bright blue, and it's over speckled clay, and that's still pretty bright, isn't it? So I'd say that's acceptable. That's a surprise. Oh, this was my recycled clay. That's right. That's why it seems to be a little bit nicer when it's not on pure speckled clay. Here is chun green with apple green and oatmeal. It's got lots of nice, really pretty greens in that. I'm into green at the moment, it seems. I've been painting with the underglazes from Kiwi. Oh, the Tenmoku Gold in this one, is it recycled as well? No, it's white clay, that's why it looks so much nicer. It always has more gold when it's on a white clay. Oatmeal and variegated blue on the edges. And then more of the same mugs for the bakery, but this one's different. This is apple green with chun green and oatmeal over the top. Or is it just, it's a grayish green. Could be mouse gray. Anything different? No, it's the same one again. I think it's mouse gray, but it could be apple green with chun green and oatmeal. I think it's apple green. and the other ones are the same, just the blue and the folk art white. This has got the chun green over the top of the folk art white, and this has the variegated blue and oatmeal. And on the bottom of the kiln, bright blue, variegated blue and oatmeal. And on the same, and there is another great example of the chattering using artisanpotterytools.com. And another chun green over white clay with apple green and oatmeal. It's a very pretty combination. And then the mugs, oh, we got some Tenbaku gold ones. These are all mugs for the bakery. She's got 45, I think, mugs coming out of this little batch of kilns. Tenbaku gold, variegated blue and oatmeal. And there's another example of it. And who knows where this came from, but that is actually got purple. Oh, I put apple green over the top of the Tenbaku gold, and I got a really strong looking purple, very glossy purple where they overlap. I'm going to have to remember that because that's really nice. Well, something. Can you? I hope you can see it because it may be just light refraction which doesn't show up in the camera, but it's actually a purple. Apple green over Tenbaku gold. And then the rest are repeats. So that's the end of that firing. Let's see if it is a little different light here. You might be able to see this one. I'm not sure if it's showing it or not, but it has a bluish purple where the green overlaps the actual Tenbaku gold. But so that's a bunch of firings. I don't think I'll include this one that's still cooling down. It's on a slow cool cycle, so it's only at 1015 degrees, but I'm still controlling the cooling so that I get all the, you know, very smooth glaze results, and any crystals will really develop if in that kind of firing. But anyway, it's we have so many things to remember in our heads. So, but it's fun, right? And it snowed last night. I'll show you a quick picture of what it looks like outside. But it's April 9th, and we just had a 4-inch dump of snow. Thanks for watching. So April 9th, and my salad greens are all waiting to go in the garden, and they're pretty big, so, you know, like 3 or 4 inches high at the moment. So hopefully soon.